Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Holly Pritchard, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Sergeant Jessica Himmelreich. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Private Alfred Butler, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Visitors who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Alfred Butler. Alfred Butler was born in Melbourne in 1894, the son of John and Alice Butler. Born into a large family, he grew up in the Melbourne suburb of North Williamstown, where he attended St Mary's Roman Catholic School. By the time the First World War began, he was working as a driver for Messrs Gray Brothers, an iron foundry in Williamstown. Alfred Butler enlisted in Melbourne for service in the Australian Imperial Force on the 21st of June 1915. His employers reportedly offered him £100 if he brought back a Victoria Cross. Following initial training at Broadmeadows Camp, he was allotted to reinforcements to the 22nd Battalion. On the 26th of August, Butler embarked from Port Melbourne on board the transport ship Anchises, bound for Egypt. Arriving in Egypt, he was admitted to hospital in mid-October, suffering from a gastric complaint. However, his recovery was swift, and by the end of the month, he had arrived on Gallipoli, where he joined the 22nd Battalion. Butler's time on Gallipoli was short. He was evacuated back to Egypt at the start of December, suffering from cellulitis and bronchitis that developed into pneumonia. By the end of January, he was well on the way to recovery, and by the beginning of February, he was confined to camp for 4 days, having been found drunk. Described by a comrade as a hard case and a great fighter, and known for being well known and liked by all, he would run afoul of military discipline during his service. Butler returned to the 22nd Battalion in March and sailed with his unit to France later in the month. By late April, the battalion had entered the front line in the nursery sector near Armentières, where they would become acquainted with the rigours of trench warfare. The battalion was out of the line by the end of April. Butler went absent without leave on the 1st of May, but returned for reveille the following morning. He was brought before his commanding officer, who awarded him 168 hours field punishment number 2 and fined him 9 days' pay. On the 9th of July, Butler was awarded 28 days field punishment number 2 for being drunk and breaking out of the ranks during a march as the battalion moved south towards the Somme. Butler's first major action came during the Battle of Pozières, when the 2nd Division defended the shattered remains of the village in late July. After the battle, the 22nd Battalion returned to the line in early August to take part in the attack on the German OG trench lines. Butler and the other members of the battalion were recommended for the Distinguished Conduct Medal for pluck, determination, and endurance, acting as stretcher bearers from the firing line and returning with full loads of bombs and supplies. Practically the whole of their work was carried out under heavy shell fire on both sides of Pozières. Butler and his comrades were awarded the military medal. A few weeks later, they were in close support during the attack on Mouquet Farm. On the 26th of August, Butler's D Company was ordered to occupy positions known as the Quarry, an area that was subjected to intense German shell fire. Butler was again employed as a stretcher bearer. One of his comrades later described Butler's final moments. He was carrying down a wounded man, and I was a few yards behind him at the time, and a shell came over and caught 7 of them. I was going into our front line at the time, and they were going out down the communication trench. They got very few of the dead in on this occasion, as the trenches were blown in by the terrific bombardment. Alfred Butler was 22 years old. His body was never recovered, and today he is commemorated on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux. 2 of Albert's brothers, Edward and James, also served on the Western Front. They survived and returned home after the war ended. Alfred Butler's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Alfred Butler, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope for a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff, and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.